At a poetry slam I attended not too long ago, a woman performed a piece about her experience in India. She poetically illustrated her adventures of shopping and sightseeing, and then the guilt that she felt when she would pass begging children and have no money left to give them. She honestly shared the ways in which she would try to convince herself that she wasn't being that selfish. But this feeling of helplessness, guilt, and conviction haunted her. Her poem concluded with her finally carrying cash to give to the children and still feeling sad that she didn't have more to offer. As I listened to her poem and sympathized with her pain, I couldn't help but think, her heart doesn't ache because she doesn't have more money to give because she spent too much shopping. Her heart aches for the children, for the situation they're in, and for the harsh reality that money only feeds into a bigger problem. That more than likely these children were owned and forced to beg by their handlers, and giving money does not fix it or save them. Her way of attempting to relieve this pain was to give what she had and hope for the best. But we've been here before. We experience it in our own lives and for the sake of others. That craving and anxious yearning for more, for better, to relieve this pain, steady the imbalance, resolve the confrontation, and taste contentment. Seeing the real problems and not being able to correct them quickly leaves us thirsty and unsatisfied. You know that feeling in the bottom of your stomach? A feeling of emptiness so great that it aches? The feeling makes you wiggle around in your seat. You lose focus when you're trying to remember when it was exactly that you last ate and what it was. You're counting on your fingers how many hours ago that was. The feeling gets more and more uncomfortable and your stomach starts churning so that it audibly tells you and everyone else around you that it's empty. You look down at your watch to see how much longer you have to be in this meeting and start daydreaming of your plan of action. The nearest vending machine, or that one friend that always has granola bars in her purse, or heck, even mints that are close by. Anything. Because this hunger is uncomfortable and annoying and can be filled if you can just get to food. You know that feeling in the bottom of your stomach when your best friend's sister struggles with mental illness? You watch her fight daily to function in a world that consumes her in ways you can't even imagine. You get uncomfortable when people talk about mental illness as if it's a joke because you know the reality of its devastation on your friend's life. You yearn for deliverance and peace for her and others who suffer like her. You dream of ways to help, but your imagination is limited to drugs and quick fixes that will only attempt to normalize her. This hunger for a life free of judgment and ridicule, and healing for the trauma that more than likely was the cause. It's uncomfortable and annoying, and you search for ways to satisfy it. You know that feeling when your mouth is dry, when your lips start to dry too and crack? The heat is too much. Your tongue moves around searching for any moisture, but only noticing more dryness. Your cheeks stick to your teeth, your throat is scratchy and coarse. You dream of ice in a glass full of water. You swallow, only to long for something liquid and cool to quench your thirst. You know that feeling when your mouth is dry? When you've been walking in the desert too long and the heat is too much? You've been searching and searching for direction, but you never feel like you found it. It's those days when you look up from your job and wonder if it's where you're supposed to be. When you feel dry and worn out but have to keep to deadlines anyway, and you are certain you will never live up to the expectations that people have for you. Days when we dream of reassurance that we know what we're doing and desire some evidence of success or direction in order to quench our thirst. There are issues that don't have easy fixes. There are quick solutions that do more damage than good. There are injustices so extravagant that we hurt and hunger for justice for the victims. And there are longings that don't ever seem to be fulfilled. Satisfying irrational irrational desires can sometimes do more damage than good. There are pains and anxieties so great that we thirst for more. It is easier, however, to claim to have the answers and pretend to have it together than to not and deal with the feeling of emptiness. We don't like that this genuine thirst and hunger for righteousness feels too much like thirst and hunger. And so we do our best to keep from going hungry.